Hey, and welcome to the Jessica Paul podcast. I'm your host, Jess Paul, actress, manifestation expert, and mindset coach. And I'm here to share with you all of my secrets on confidence, success, and the magic of manifestation. If you're ready to dive in deep and see more success in your career, more money in your bank account, and more love in your life with a whole new level of freedom, then you're in the right place. I'm letting loose on everything you need to take back control of your life, up-level your mindset, and tap into your manifestation powers. I'm so excited that you're here. Hello, gorgeous souls, and welcome back to the JP podcast. It is me, Jess Paul, here to help you manifest the life of your dreams, up-level your mindset, tap into your manifestation powers, and just go and create everything you've ever wanted. Basically. Hey guys, hey, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. For those OG listeners, I love you so much. Guys, so I'm sitting down to record this. I'm pre-recording it because obviously when this goes out on Friday, I am going to be in Mexico. I am so freaking excited, guys. I don't know whether you can hear it in my voice. Feeling the energy today. I literally have only just sat down after being here, there, and everywhere, doing all sorts of amazing things. But I've only just sat down today to record this, and I've only just been able to kind of sit into this excitement, like actually fully appreciate the fact I'm going away in a few days because I've just been so busy. I got my nails done the other day, met a gorgeous soul in the nail salon. I was just like, yes, universe, you're bringing me all the amazing people. Had a great conversation with her and then went off to London. And so I've got like lots of life updates I want to talk about because so much has been happening. But really the premise of today's episode is about how you can literally create anything you have ever desired, you can have in your life. And I'm going to tell you exactly why and how. Because I think one of the main things I see in so many people, and I see it so much in my students that come into my academy, like when we first meet and stuff, is that we've just placed limits on ourselves, guys, from the get-go. We limit ourselves so much in what we can actually achieve in life. And by the way, that's not our fault. Like, it is due to so much conditioning, so many people telling us, oh, that's going to be hard, or that's not meant for you, or, you know, you've not been born in the right place, or you don't know the right people, so you're never going to get there. And these are things that actually, you know, we do hear all the time in life. And so it just subconsciously starts to lead us to believe that we can't have certain things, you know, that certain things aren't meant for us. And, you know, and we literally don't even think, like, set them as goals because we don't even think it's possible. And that makes me really sad, guys, because I know through the work that I've done on myself and with this mindset manifestation practice that you can literally have anything. And I am going to tell you, like, first and foremost, you can have anything. And this is why it's so important to dream big. It's literally the first thing that I cover with my students inside the academy. But I want to give you one life update that literally happened this weekend, just over the past few days, which was incredible. And then I want to talk about something else which ties into the whole topic of today's episode on why you can have literally anything you want, anything you desire, and how we really go about making that happen. So, life update then. I literally just got back from London because I think I mentioned it in my last episode. I'd been asked to guest speak at the National Theatre in London, which is like a huge deal because as an actor, like, it really does mean a lot. It's a theatre that so many actors visualize of performing in, and to be able to be in there amongst, like, amazing. I met some amazing up and coming writers and producers and actors and dancers and just creatives in general. And it was such an honor. It was just such an honor to have been asked, and such a huge manifestation for me. And basically it was just like an amazing evening of networking and obviously, like, myself speaking about what I do with mindset manifestation, as well as being an actor myself and what I've manifested in that area. And yeah, I've just honestly made some of the most beautiful connections. And it's something that I kind of have been talking about a little bit on my Instagram recently, about how every connection that you have in life is divine, and there's always a reason for the people that you bump into in life. And I just felt like everybody I met that night, so many of you wonderful souls are probably listening to this episode because, you've all followed me and, you've all subscribed to the pod, and like, it's amazing to connect with you all. Like, it was just amazing. And like I said, like some of the, like one of the biggest takeaways for me there was just, again, how far you've come and how far you can get to, and how, like I say, anything is possible. Because God, guys, like freaking 5 years ago, to have like even thought of guest speaking as an expert at the National Theatre, I mean, the thought never even crossed my mind. And this is actually, again, why I want to make this episode, because it is so important that those things do cross your mind. It's so important that you do dream about those things that seem out of your reach, that seem like to you maybe impossible right now. It's so important that you dream about them, because we're going to be talking about why visualization is so important. Okay. But the other life update that I have, which I haven't really, again, like elaborated on, I just mentioned it, was obviously that I shot this commercial, and that again was a big deal. And then like when I was driving back from that, I just had a realization, when you have it's always when you're in the car on the way back, I always find like I park my car up, and then that is the time when I reflect on so many things. It's just that moment before you get out of the car, you just have that time to yourself, and you're like, what is my life right now? And honestly, I was sitting there and I was reflecting, and I was like, wow, this is everything that I have ever wanted. Like, this is everything that I had been manifesting. And specifically for me, like that commercial, when I was on set, they said to me, okay, Jess, like some of the stills that we're taking in this commercial, they're going to be on like those 12, 14-foot billboards around Manchester. And, those big billboards that you drive past. And I just suddenly thought, I was like, oh my God, that is literally back in high school what I used to dream about. Now, guys, this isn't a commercial for the next big film that I'm in. That one is manifesting, but it's a commercial and it's got my face on it, and I'm going to be on one of those billboards all the same. And for me, like some of you listening, you might be like, great, Jess, like whatever. But for me, it's a big deal, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was in high school and I was going through a pretty tough time, I was a little bit left out at that point in high school, and I used to daydream about my face being on one of those billboards and everybody in high school knowing who I was, like knowing that like I had something, that I was special in that way. And again, like a lot of this comes down to some of the shadows that I've lived with in the past on like, like needing validation and stuff, which I no longer need in my life anymore, right? The only person that I need validation from is myself, okay? I don't need it from anybody else. But back then, like I was going through like a painful time, and I used to literally daydream, because I was a big daydreamer in high school. And actually that, it points to some of the things spiritually that I've been discovering about myself. But I would sit there and I would see it. I would see it in my mind. I would see my face on a billboard in my mind, right? And I went to school in Stockport, up north, like Manchester area, for those of you that know. And we have a 192 bus that goes down the A6 that used to drive past my school every day. It was a bus that I always used to get into Stockport and stuff. And again, even on that bus, I used to visualize my face will be on one of those banners on the bus, like, the banners with like that have like ads on them. I used to think, everybody getting on that bus, they're going to see my face on the bus, right? And it was just, it was a personal thing to me. Like, obviously in this podcast, I'm sharing you all of my personal insights that have gone on in my mind in the hope that you can resonate. Because that was a really personal thing for me, because it was something that I desired even back then when I was that young. And, I desired it because I knew I knew that was what I was meant for. I knew I was meant to make an impact. And that's what that's one of my biggest drives today, to like impact people. But the fact is, and the real message of today's episode is that anything that you visualize, you can have, right? Anything that you can see in your mind's eye, you can have in this physical world. And the thing is, so many of us don't even believe that. But what you've got to know, and this is like a little bit of the science behind it, guys, is that your brain cannot distinguish between what is imagination for you and what is actually reality. It can't distinguish between the two. If you are imagining something in your mind, your brain thinks that it's happening in real time. It thinks it's already happening. And so what that does then is it raises your frequency, it raises your vibration, and so you become a match to that desire. Okay, right? And so this is like the premise of my whole work that I'm doing with inside my academy and with my students, because the whole point of manifestation is that you match the frequency of what you're wanting to call into your life. And when you visualize, guys, and you really freaking bring those feelings to the surface of what it would feel like to have that thing in your life, you will have it, okay? And now again, just a bit more of the science behind it. Your brain, your mind, it literally cannot process something. Can't process it. You can't actually see something that you can't have, because otherwise you just wouldn't think it, right? You just wouldn't have that thought. It just wouldn't, you just wouldn't have that imagination. You can't, right? So for example, really famous scientists, let's say like Einstein and stuff, you got to understand that everything he ever created on a scientific level, it happened through an idea. Right? Literally, he created it through an idea. It came through his imagination. So he had an idea for something, and he then went through the process of making it happen. Right? And that's everything that's like super scientific. So what I'm saying is, if he can do that, then so can you. You can do it with anything 3D in this reality. And you might be thinking, oh, but Jess, like, what about like all those, fantasy books and, films and novels that we have that are all imagination? Like, how are they supposed to be, how are they supposed to manifest? Well, guys, I'm going to be honest with you now, like literally anything that you see, you can have. So even crazy, fantasy things that we imagine as humans on this planet, like they can be real, maybe not in this dimension, maybe in another dimension, but they can be real somewhere. So like, let's say the concept of like fairies. I used to be obsessed with fairies as a kid, obsessed, which is again, another thing spiritually for me that I'm like uncovering and realizing. That doesn't make much sense. Guys, I'm doing a lot of like spiritual work on myself at the moment, opening up my third eye and everything. And there's a lot of things I'm discovering about myself. But anyway, going back to that idea of like fairies, for example, you being able to imagine them, like you've like as kids, like you might have read stories about them and everything like that. There is a possibility. I'm going to say this word, possibility. There is a possibility that can exist. And I'm not saying that it will be maybe in this 3D world that we live in right now, but it could be in another 3D world. And this is where everything starts to get a little, maybe a little out there for some of my listeners. I don't know, but listen, this is the way my mind works, and I'm going to be real with you on here. That's why, like, some people believe in aliens and everything like that. And I'm going down a whole other route. I don't even know where I'm going with this episode now because I need to get back on track. But what I'm saying is your brain cannot process something that doesn't have a possibility of existing, right? Wow, I think I put that in a really good way then. I hope that makes sense. Your brain literally can't process it if it doesn't have a possibility of existing. Now, that's the same in your imagination as it is for what you're seeing in your life right now too. So I always say to my students, if you can see success in your life, if you can see someone in your life right now that's living out the life that you want to live, maybe it's there's like a seven-figure business owner that you're looking at, or there's, a famous actor that you're looking at, or you've got a role model. This is why it's important to have role models. Like, if you say you're looking at someone and they're living out the life that you want to live, that is your brain telling you you can have that too, right? It's literally the universe telling you, if you can see it, you can have it too. So this is why I always say it's really important to hang around with successful people, right? But it's the same, both what you're seeing in your world right now and what you're imagining. So again, going back to like the main message here, and what I really want you to take away from this episode is that you can, if you dream big enough in your mind, if you imagine the big things in your mind, right? You are creating a possibility of them existing in your real 3D world, right? You're creating that possibility. But like I say, what most people do is they won't even dream that big because they'll just go, oh no, that's way too out of my reach. Like, let's say, for example, you are an actor and the thought of Hollywood, starring in a Hollywood film, becoming like, I don't know, sometimes I think about being in Marvel films because I absolutely love Marvel films. Like, I'm a bit of a geek in that way. And sometimes I think about them and I think, yeah, like, you know what? I could do that. There is a possibility there. Like, why not? You know, why not? And that's what you've got to ask yourself, right? Don't hold yourself back. This is the main message. Don't block yourself on purpose just because you believe there's no possibility there. Because I'm telling you now, if you can see it in your mind, if you can imagine it in your mind, you can have it. You're creating a possibility of having it. So if you just shut yourself off completely and go, oh no, Hollywood's too out of my reach, or I don't know, earning 7 figures a year is out of my reach, then you're basically just saying, okay, well, it's never going to happen. Like you are blocking off a possibility of it happening for yourself. So this is, honestly, guys, this is just the power of visualization. And you might have heard this before, like in the self-development community, like how important visualizing things really is. But that's why it's important. It's on a scientific level. If you're not allowing it into your mind space, then you're not allowing it into your 3D world, right? So like the main mantra really here is if you can see it, you can have it. It reminds me of that Ariana Grande song. But it's true, right? What you are seeing in your mind's eye on a daily basis is so important. So what I encourage you to do basically is start dreaming big, start visualizing what it is that you want in life. And let me just, again, tie it back to the life update and what I was just saying at the start about this commercial and about this 12-foot billboard that my face is now going to be on around Manchester, okay? Like, that was something that I visualized about 10 or 12 years ago, guys, as a kid. And so what you need to know is that everything that you've ever desired, like, and that you've ever kind of imagined could happen to you, it is all out there waiting for you. It's literally waiting for you to let it in. And your only job is to let it in. And that's really the premise of what I teach. It's why I run my academy, and it's why I do what I do, is helping you like completely unblock and deroot what's going on in your inner world, because that's the thing that's blocking you off, right? It's all those subconscious beliefs. It's all that like stagnant energy that is blocking you off from letting it in. Okay, and that's why my students, when they go through, especially the shadow work in my academy, they literally start manifesting like crazy. Like, it's happening at the moment. I'm receiving so many messages right now, kind of coming to the end of the academy this round right now. And I'm just getting so many messages like, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. And it's because they have made energetic space to let those things in. So basically, yeah, like your only job is to let these things in. If you've desired them before, they're waiting for you. And that's exactly what happened with me and what I desired 10, 12 years ago, right? It was waiting for me. And the only reason it manifested now, 10 years later, is because I was able to let it in. I was able to. I was matching the same frequency as that thing, right? And it took me 10 years, right? Because there was a lot of other things involved. There were a lot of other lessons I had to learn. There were a lot of other things I had to do. There was all of this mindset work I had to do in order to be able to let that in for me. And I talk about this concept again inside my academy about a manifestation gap and what goes on inside that gap between what you've visualized, basically what you've asked for, and when you get it. And what you need to know, guys, is that you can close this gap whenever you want. You know, it took me 10 years to get from that visualization to it actually happening in my 3D world. But it didn't have to take that long. And this is the power of this work. This is the power of getting intentional, you know, because now for me, if I desire something and I visualize it, it manifests almost immediately. This is what I'm seeing right now. And this is partly because of all this like 5D consciousness work I'm doing spiritually for myself. And it's really making a huge difference. And it's why I'm so freaking passionate about it. And I'm putting it all into my academy. I'm upgrading my academy and I'm putting it all in there because it's huge. And you've noticed, because every time I come onto the podcast, I'm like, this is manifested, right? Because I've completely closed that gap. So the message here is that, number one, visualization is so important. What you're seeing in your mind's eye is literally what you are, you're creating possibilities there for it actually to happen in your 3D world. And so if you don't visualize big enough, if you don't dream big enough, you won't receive big enough, right? You won't receive the things you want to receive, okay? You'll just be constantly in this like tug of war, like, oh, I want this thing, but why isn't it happening? Well, it's not happening because you're not actually allowing yourself to believe it's a possibility, right? You have to believe that anything is possible for you in this life because it is, by the way, it is. But the only reason you don't believe it is because you've been so conditioned over so many years to believe that it's not possible. Anything is possible, right? And again, just taking it back to my example, 10 years ago, for me to be daydreaming about that, I didn't really believe it was possible back then. I didn't even know what manifestation was back then, guys. So these are things that I was like unintentionally manifesting. But, you know, I thought, wow, that's like so out there. It's so crazy. Imagine if that could happen. Just imagine. But there was part of me going, God, it's too far out of my reach, right? But the point is, the reason that the gap closed and the reason that I actually manifested it now, today, is because I chose to believe that I could have it. I just chose to believe it. I chose to go, yeah, actually, I can fucking have this. Why not? You know, why not? And that obviously is to do with a lot of the inner work I've done and a lot of the confidence that I now have in myself, right? Confidence is everything. So even the things, like I said, that seem really freaking crazy to you, the things that literally seem so out of your reach right now, you could have them. You could have them in like a year. If you wanted them, you could have them in 6 months. You could have them tomorrow, right? Like it all just comes down to how well you're able to just let it in. And I know that kind of might sound a little bit frustrating because it's like, okay, but Jess, how do I let it in? It's literally everything that I've just said to you. It's everything that I teach. It's why I do what I do and bang on about this stuff, because that's how you let it in. Do the inner work, right? Focus on you. Release the things you need to release, unblock the beliefs you need to unblock, and trust yourself. Freaking believe in yourself, right? Which now everybody that I teach and everybody that I coach inside my academy and my one-on-ones as well, you know, like everybody that I teach is now seeing it happen for them. And it's honestly incredible to see. I just had a little break and then I came back and I just thought, I mean, I'm using this example because it literally has just happened to me. But guys, let's just talk about the very fact that I manifested a 6-figure business in 8 months' time. Like I use that example a lot because that is like, when you look at it, you go, oh my God, that's crazy. But actually, is it really crazy? Because I just allowed myself to believe that I could do it and I did it. Okay, so, you know, even if, again, just taking it back to money manifestation, because I always love to take it back there. If you're sitting there with like hardly any money in your bank account right now and you're thinking, oh my God, look at all those people earning like 5 figures a month. Like, how the fuck are they doing it? Guys, like 8 months prior to when I achieved that, I was in the same position. But I consciously chose to believe that it could happen for me too. And if I'm seeing it in other people, I can have it too, right? And now I've got new goals because we are ever expanding beings. So, you know, I'm manifesting like crazy now. I've got new goals. I want to be 7-figure business, you know, that's my aim, you know, and I want to be on Netflix and that's my aim. And, you know, like, but you've got to really appreciate how far you've come, number one. always a big, big thing. But just allow yourself to believe in the possibility. Just allow yourself to believe in the possibility that it can happen for you too. And that is how it will come to you quickly. That is how you close the gap. So basically your homework then is to dream big. Dream big, visualize it. Like, actually tag me in your Instagram stories. Like, let me know some of the things that you are aiming for now. Knowing what you now know about actually the science behind visualization and how powerful it really is. What are you wanting to call in? I love asking this question, and I love seeing what people, some of the goals you all have, because as well, it's always collective manifestation in that way. Because it's like, if you're like affirming it to me, I'm going to cheer you the fuck on, girl. I will cheer you on and we will make it happen. So yeah, like tag me in your Instagram stories. Let me know what it is you're dreaming about. But make it your homework to actually go off and like really sit and intentionally visualize about it. And on that note, guys, I'm going to be off enjoying myself in Mexico. Another thing that I manifested this year through the power of visualization. I mean, a lot of us do dream about being on a beach, but made it happen. And, I'm honestly, like, obviously this is pre-recorded, but I'm going to be there now. I'm going to be on a beach. I'm going to be loving life. I'm going to be chilling out. It's going to be great. So all the updates are going to be over on Instagram. So pop me a little DM over on there. Let me know how you all are. And I'll chat to you all next week for our next episode. But just sending you all lots of love from Mexico. And I'll chat to you all soon. Lots of love, guys. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who you think would love it too. And if you want to let me know how you found it, just screenshot this episode, add it to your Instagram story, and tag me at I am Jessica Paul so that I can throw all the love right back at you. And of course, subscribe, hit those 5 stars, and leave a review to show your support and to keep the good stuff coming. Sending you so much love and gratitude from your girl Jess.